Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of CD Property Talk Live, where we'll be discussing about everything real estate, everything related to property, in fact. And of course, as usual, we'll be bringing different topics that we'll talk about on real estate, decisions that you should make, and things that you should look out for whenever you're buying a property or you want to invest in real estate, you start building your real estate portfolio. So today we'll bring a topic to you, which is your first property should not be your dream home. This topic is not as it sounds because we are going to be breaking it down so you understand the meaning, the true meaning behind this topic. So I remain your host, Mary, as usual, and I'm here with my co-host, Satoshi, who will be giving us answers and insights on our questions for today.
Thank you very much, listeners. Today's YouTube, we're going to be digging to something so important for everyone. Thank you so much for staying and watch to the end.
Yeah. So without wasting much of our time, we'll dive straight into our questions for the day. Now, why do many people want their first property to be their dream home?
Yes, it is very important that we pay attention to this. Most of us are on that point right now, or some have been able to. Majority of people have been able to, pass this stage that we're talking about. The first dream home. I want to have my dream home. I want to purchase my dream home. There is nothing important. So we attach so many emotional feelings to those having the first home, which is very important. You buy it, and then some buy properties, their first home, in order to impress people, to show them that they've arrived, that they have gotten money, or they want to show where they're living, to show their new address, and then to show their new house. All of those things are important, but they're all emotional feelings and thinking. So what we're talking about here is strategic, which is how do I have my first home, and then build my first home, from my first home to the second, and I use that first home to begin to give you income. So we're going to be looking at those things that are very, very germane. Don't buy first home to impress your friends or to show social class that you have arrived. Don't attach emotional feeling to it. Be strategic. It's just like Dave Rami once said that so many people, they buy a lot of things that they do not need, and they buy things they need in order to impress others. And that's what you see people do all the time. So they buy things that they do not actually need in order to impress people they don't even like. So there's no point for you to be buying property because of emotional feeling, or because your friend have acquired property, you want to acquire it. So as we go down to this YouTube live, we're going to be revealing some things that is going to help you to be strategic when you decide to buy your first home.
Thank you very much for the answer. So our second question for today is, what are the financial dangers of buying your dream home as your first properties?
The financial danger on that is that you're going to lock your capital, because buying home, remember, property is an asset. So when you buy an asset, that asset must be able to bring income, generate income. So if it's not generating income, it becomes a liability. And the danger is that there are people who do not have all that it required, or they don't have a very structured generating income. And then when they buy their first home, they took all their savings, because you lock money into that asset or property. So when you lock that money into that asset or property, so that property is not giving you revenue, it's not generating income. What that means is that you are going to be struggling. So when you are buying, buy strategic and be strategic. What I mean by strategic is that buy home or property that will be able to generate income, that you can be able to rent. Your first home shouldn't be a liability. It should be an asset that generates income. As you move on in life, you could be able to use that while that one is producing income, because you rent it out. That money that they paid for your rent will now be able to save that money and use it to acquire another property. And not only that, you also going to use that asset, because that asset at the end of the day is going to be valued or valued by, when you want to access fund through the financial institution, banks or mortgage. So you need to build intentionally and not to lock yourself into poverty, and also because you want to impress others. So you are using everything that you have to buy one asset that is not producing anything. So you must be intentional, you must be strategic, and you must make sure that you use that asset to be able to acquire more assets. And that is the bottom line.
Thank you so much. So viewers, as you've heard, a dream home is usually expensive and may stretch your finances. So you can even lock up for capital and then create every body repayment. That's for those that are taking out loans to buy their dream home, to assist their capital to buy a dream home. So that will slow your wealth building and to limit your flexibility. So moving on to our third question, what should your first property be instead of a dream home?
Your first property should be, make it intentional to be an asset where you can buy, rent. When you buy and rent, meaning that income, that property will be able to generate revenue. And not only generating revenue, it's also going to be able to use it as building block, where you acquire more money, like I said on the previous questions you asked me. So once you're able to build on one, you build on that one, and then you build incrementally. Incrementally in the sense that when you have that one set, and somebody live in that property, somebody acquired that property, and somebody pays you, so it becomes a cash flow. And building a cash flow must be intentional. And then building income generating assets must be also intentional. So when you are buying to build a cash flow, and then build continuous generating income. And when you continue to generate income, you'll be able to build an asset that gives you money. And then money and the asset must be able to generate income. And when you generate income, that's when they said assets, like Kiyosaki once said that asset gives you money even when you are sleeping. So it works for you even when you are sleeping. It generates income. So if it's not generating income, then it's not an asset, it's a liability. So when you are buying your first dream home, be intentional. Buy so that you can have cash flow. And once you're able to build a cash flow, you're on the way to building wealth. And that is the essence of this YouTube that you're watching live today.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes.
So as you all know now, your first property should be strategic and it should be affordable. So you can think investment first and then your lifestyle later. So moving to our first questions, is it wrong to live in your first property, and why? If it's a yes or no, why is it a yes? Why is it a no? And then why not should people live in their first properties?
The point is this: in every decision you make in life, you ask yourself, what do I actually want? What is the purpose? What's the intention? If the intention is that because you will just want to have your first home, then it's not the reason why people build property. Yes, you have your first home. What happens next? So when you have your first home, what happens? How can you turn that your first home to become an income? Because property building is not just to have property because for having sake. You use one property, build, buy first, rent. And when you're buying, location. Don't just buy and just because you want to buy to impress your social circle. No, you are buying to be able to rent so that you can have more income coming in. Anybody that rents your property pays you money. And once they pays you money, you'll be able to use that same income to now invest in another property. So now, the first property, buy to rent, so that people can live and then it can generate income to you. The second thing you should look at it is that it's an asset, which means you can use it to access funds from bank. So it become a collateral, what we call collateral. So if you don't have a collateral, how are you going to use it to acquire as another asset? So the second house should be the one you can live. Then you have created a very strong strategic pathway for cash flow, for money to come in. And as the money come in, you are investing that money that will be able to create more wealth and more properties. Then you can now make a choice on which one do I want to be. Then you have created a structured income generating asset.
Thank you very much, sir. So then, if it is if it is wrong for people to live in their first property or not, what is the smarter strategy for the first-time property buyers in today's market?
Just like I said, when you are buying, if it is the first time you are buying property, the smartest, like I've already preempted that question, so my answer is to buy a rental income generating property. Do not be emotional in your thoughts. Wealth is not built by emotional feeling. Wealth is built intentionally. And if you are the one that is building wealth emotionally, by paying attention to what we are talking about today, I believe you should have a mind shift. You build wealth intentionally. It's not emotional. It's not what your relatives or your friends will feel or how they will feel. You are the one that know what you want in life. Do not allow others to guide your life. You are the one that knows what you want to achieve. So use your first property, to build your income and build your equity and build your wealth. Because from there, a lot of things will flow. Cash flow, money will come in. And the money is coming in. Now you could be able to go to the bank that I have this XYZ property that is valued at XYZ amount. And I want to use the same property to buy another one, acquire another one. Do you see that? That's why it is not advisable. If you are watching what I'm saying or what we're saying today, we are trying to demystify something that a lot of people have created. You see people celebrate their first home. They buy their first home or they bought their first home. They celebrate it. But down the road, you see them begin their incomes start to depreciate. Why? Because they put a lot of money into that one property. They bought a lot of expensive luxury house that does not produce income. They acquire something that they want to impress their social circle instead of building intentionally. Don't live life by impressing others. People that they don't even know you. People that you don't even like. That's why that Dave Ramsey said that. Don't buy things that you do not need. And then money that you do not even have. And trying to impress people that don't even know that you exist. So why don't you be intentional? Buy things that will give you money at the end of the day. Ask yourself, if I'm buying, for example, a full house, sitting maybe 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, or sometimes 5 or 6-bedroom, locked in a one plot of land, built with mansion, situated in a big expanse and very exclusive areas. And that property is sitting down there. You are living in that house, maybe one room. You sleep in one room, maybe your family in other rooms. At the end of the day, you repair, you do electricity, you pay bill, you clean, maintain flowering, you maintain the house. Money is going out of your pocket. So it's no longer an asset generating revenue. So it becomes a liability. So now how do you change that? Buy your first property to rent. You can even build unit of flats. Live in maybe 3 or 4. Rent the rest. Money is coming in. Your tenants are paying you. You are taking that money to reinvest for another property. They are paying for the maintenance, repainting, electricity, and all of those stuff. So it's not coming from your pocket. So what are you doing? You are building income. So now there will be a time where that property will appreciate, because properties appreciate. It's not It's not a liability. It's not something that is stagnant. It appreciates over time, yearly, precisely. So wealth and equity is very silent. You see people that have acquired properties that you live today, they bought it in a very small amount of money. Today, some of them are millions, but they bought it in thousands. Now it's millions. Now, not only millions, it's going to be billions. I use, for example, for those who live in Lagos, Lekki, Phase 1, Banana Island, some of those properties were acquired in thousands. Today is in billions. And some of you who live in some exclusive areas, if you ask how much their property is worth, they will tell you how much of value the property, or by contacting an estate valuer, you will see how much it costs. What we're talking about today is not something we're educating you. We're making you to have a mind shift, so that when you have money, or if you're planning to invest in property, buy block of flats first. Still live in a small one. The problem of the society that we live today is that people want to impress people. Don't impress anyone. It's your life. It's your life. At the end of the day, it's about you. What become of? There are people that acquire luxury property today. They later sold that luxury property where they live, and they went to live in a smaller place. Why? Because it's a misplaced priority. The misplaced priority. And this is very, very important. This is what kept us poor. Majority of people are kept poor on this mindset. And then today we want to educate you. We want you to have a change of mind, so that when you want to make decision, when money comes, or when you save money, buy block of flats. Not only block of flats, you can even buy some units, maybe 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom luxury apartment, rent it out, give it to property managers to manage it, rent it out, lease it, and then money is coming in. Meanwhile, you're still building whatever you want to do, whether you are a working class or a business owner, or you're working in a public, a civil servant. You can build intentionally. But don't forget location, location. That is what you should not forget. Anywhere you're buying, buy location, because at the end of the day, the property will appreciate faster on a good location.
Thank you very much, sir. So I believe with the explanation that you just gave us, we already understand the strategy for first-time property buyers. So moving on to our next question, when is it actually okay to buy your dream home?
When it is okay, that's like what I have already explained now. Before you do anything, you look at your income level. How much do I earn every month? If it is monthly, if it's weekly, if it's daily. So, and then now when you look at that, your income, your finances, because everything boils down to finance. How much do I earn? What are the things that gives me money? So if you don't have, for example, you have limited income or limited finances, you will not, at that moment, you need to be patient, because building property and real estate is patient. It's not something, it's a long-term asset. So when you are buying a long-term asset and you do not have a cash flow property or investment or whatever sources, then it is better for you to wait and acquire more money. Now, when you invest on that property, you wait, because you're still going to wait for that property to start giving you revenue at the end of the day. So when you are starting life, the best thing you should do is to learn, as we are talking and discussing this live YouTube. By the time you learn and acquire knowledge, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, you know what you want, and then you go into the market and buy the property, knowing that you have a stable income. And not only stable income, you have chosen the type of property you want to buy, and then the location, and then the amount, and how you can fund it. Of course, if you have the one that has flexibility in payments, that you make a down payment and spread it over time, that's also very good at the right time to buy.
Thank you very much. So for our last question for this session is what mindset shift must people adopt to build wealth through properties?
The mindset should be a mindset of building wealth. People should stop being emotional in their thought and approach to wealth building, or to building real estate portfolio. People should be intentional. And then if anybody that is watching us now, if I can drop any questions so we can address it before we wrap up to this, because it's actually live and we're educating people that are also going to be watching this. So if anyone that is watching us, drop the questions, we'll be able to, because we want to interact with you. We want to make you to understand the reason why you should be intentional in this live studio that we are speaking right now. So if you are buying property and you want to build wealth and you want to create something for long-term plan, if you just want to impress people, then buy liability, which is what you call luxury houses, and then acquire whatever you want to acquire. And then at the end of the day, that thing you're acquiring will become a burden to you, because you want to create something that will relieve you, that uplift you from where you are and take you to a higher level of life. And so once you are doing that, what we are talking about is that buy that property if you know that it will give you income. And then if you have already established yourself, there's no problem about that. You can acquire luxury properties because you have cash flow that you have built. But for those majority of people that we're talking to today are those that are still from their average class or middle class, and then people that are still building life. So what we're talking about is how you can start to build property, and then as you grow in your income and in your investment in property, you are building wealth that one day you become a millionaire, a billionaire. But it's not advisable for you to take all your capital to invest on one property. And then on investing on that one property, you want to live there. And living there, you want to impress people. You want to show social class. You want to show that you have arrived. At the end of the day, it's going to harm your cash flow. It's going to harm your wealth creation. It's going to harm your success in life, because you must create something that gives you money or generate you income. That's just like people who have a business or who have companies. That company should be able to generate money. If the company is not generating money, it's not a business. If a business is not generating money, it's not a business. It becomes a liability. And it's just a matter of time that business will close. And that's the same thing we're talking about. If your first property, you're buying it to impress people, it's just a matter of time. It becomes a liability that you cannot even cope in maintaining and running that business, that property. And that's where people start to regret why did they buy property. Because you bought it with a wrong mindset. You were not strategic. You did not equip yourself with the right information. And that's why we are talking about. Because we want to stick to what Peter Drucker said, that if you predict the future you want, the lifestyle you want, by creating it. You create the lifestyle you want by building it now. And if you want to build it, you must be intentional. And you must be intentional and know that the goal is to lift others and lift yourself out of poverty and have cash flow, income. And that's why we're talking about this. For those who have bought already, there's still time. What you need is to revalue that property. You can restructure that property, and then you can use that property as a collateral, that's an asset, to approach as an equity to the bank to start to buy another one. And when you buy another one, buy income generating asset, commercial, residential, where people can rent, and then they can be able plazas. You can build a lot of things in property that can give you income, not for luxury or for lifestyle.
Thank you very much. So I believe with these few questions that we break down today, I believe that you already have a shift in your mindset already on how to adopt to build wealth through property. So as you said on regard our last question, and answer said you should shift from buying for comfort to buying for control and leverage. So you should view property as a tool for making wealth, for creating wealth instead of for luxury or just living purpose already. So you should build your assets first, then you can upgrade your lifestyle confidently. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us on today's session. See you guys next week as usual. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.